Staring very intently, John.
Hmm?
He's like, how am I gonna fuck this up? How am I gonna write something else? How am I gonna fuck up this
It's
document?
not fair when
that
you can
we
look at me
use?
while I'm thinking. It's like,
Well, yeah. No shit. Get the fuck out of here. Start the show. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Clink, clank, clank.
Clink, clank.
Yes.
Clink, 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 clink. I gotta boot,
Clink.
boot the camera.
Clink that clank. Hello and welcome to Strange Happy Hour. I am one of your hosts, Brent the Just Red Metcalf. Along to my left,
The dispatcher, Mark Plover.
and on the right.
Handsome John.
What's funny is that the OBS camera puts me in reverse, mirrors it, so it's always wrong on my end. Of course, we are gathered here each and every week, as we do, to discuss with you the really cool tech news and very nerdy video game news. There's a lot of both, believe it or not. Of course, we don't have time to discuss everything, and we do have updates from a couple of stories ago, actually. But I do want to talk about this real quickly. Epic asks the courts to force Apple to put Fortnite back on the store while they continue the legal battle. So the user base for the Apple iOS versions of Fortnite has dropped by 60%. Epic is asking the courts to please allow the app back onto the actual device so that they can continue to make proceeds and profits until the court rules.
Weird how that works. It's almost like you bite the hand that feeds and, suddenly you get bit back. It's weird how that works.
Well, not only that, but it shows your hand. It shows your weakness, and you have to be strong in this. Like, you're going to do something. You got to be, you got to show them the hand and keep it stiff. You can't.
We're not making
money.
That's
it. Because if you guys wanted to discuss this, you should have picked it as a topic. Maybe that was just a quick update. However, we don't have time to talk.
I have a correction I need to make actually from last week's episode as well.
Okay.
So I misspoke. I did not realize that PCI Express 4.0 had backwards compatibility with PCI Express 3.0, meaning you can use PCI Express 4.0, aka the RTX 30 series cards on PCI Express 3 devices, meaning that existing Intel chips will be able to run, and already do run, RTX 30 series cards.
I've never seen this. You scare the crap out of people.
Sounds to me like the NVIDIA check did not cash. But of course, we don't have time to talk about every bit of news. We have no time to discuss the fact that EA adds and then removed full screen ads from UFC 4 as fans get fucking angry. We don't have time to talk about how the Batman halts production because Robert Pattinson is diagnosed with COVID-19. Of course, the mask is wrong, not up here, down here. Come on, people, get it right. And we don't have time to discuss the really cool new Hyrule Warriors game that takes place 100 years before Breath of the Wild. However, we do have time to discuss what we like to do on the show each and every week as we gather together with our separate drinks in our quarantine bunkers, what we like to call
The important.
I like to sing song it every now and then. Dispatcher, since you fucked up last week's story and putting out false information out there, we're gonna make you go first this time.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll just spout off more false information. No, I'm gonna try not to do that this time. T-Mobile.
One of us always lies.
T-Mobile rolled out details on its plan to give free internet to 10 million homes.
Woo!
So T-Mobile allocated about $10.7 billion over a 10-year life program in which it can roll out 100 gigabytes per year of free data to homes that are in need of it for educational purposes. And the idea is that the schools can then supplement, because 100 gigs a year actually isn't that much. Like 8 gigs a month is what the average comes out to be, and realistically for a Zoom call or for an all-day video call, it's really not that much. So the idea is that schools can get subsidies on the other side of it to balance that out, and I think that's a neat plan. I think this is a neat idea of and they're hotspot based, and T-Mobile's a cellular carrier, so these are going to be mobile hotspots that'll be rolled out. But what was it? The price was supposed to be school subsidies can pay $12 per month per student to give each student 100 gigabytes of monthly data.
Yep.
Or unlimited for $15 a month, which to me, both of those sound like awesome deals for hotspots. Like
100%.
Like that sounds amazing. Which of course, it completely, it makes sense in this kind of world that an ISP is going to adapt and help other people adapt who can or don't have the means to. Like maybe you live in an area where you don't have landline internet service. Well, cellular is the only way to really get out there. Cellular is the only current coverage for internet that nearly covers the entire US. It's still not quite completely covered, but the idea is this will stopgap any of the missing landline services where companies may have deemed it not profitable enough to go into those areas, such as AT&T, Comcast, Spectrum, Cox Communications, Verizon, whoever, instead may roll out wireless communications because it's tremendously cheaper to do so. So I think this is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were stories of buses having to go out and acting like hotspots at certain times in order to give people access for schooling and stuff. And honestly, during the summer and winter months, that's going to be a little bit more crucial. People are going to have to drive, spend money on gas, keep their kids in a car either air conditioned or heated while their kids are trying to do their schoolwork, and also being in a cramped car. One, let me tell you, that's not going to smell good after a while. So this is a really good thing for much of everybody, especially because the parents have to go back to work as well in a lot of circumstances.
The CEO, I think, of T-Mobile, Mike Katz, has a great quote right here, which is, quote, it wasn't just about connectivity before and after school and correspondence with your teacher via email. Now it's literally, if you don't have connectivity, you can't be at school. End quote. Like, what a great way for them. They spend $10.7 billion, which is not a cheap amount of money.
But it's also spread over a 10-year lifespan too. So, $1 billion a year anyway to do some really, really goodwill, which is, to clarify anyway, this is supposed to be based on, and now this is a number, this is just math I'm doing off the top of my head of, it's 16.9 million kids that don't have connectivity for online classes. Well, this takes care of at least 10 million of them, not including, and that math doesn't include homes with multiple children. So you're taking care of more than 50% of the problem.
Yeah,
easily.
And not only public goodwill, but you're also gaining a customer for life. You can't tell me that somebody's not going to be like, "Oh, I'm with T-Mobile," unless there's literally no way I can get that as a provider in my area.
Well, it's also smart for them too, because they're only guaranteed, so much of it, which won't cover the entire year. But with the grant money that's given per child for $500 a year for every student, that's going to help bring more money back into covering that, as well as anybody who needs more will put more money into their system. So whether you can call it more of a, like, are they trying to profit off of this, or are they really doing this out of goodwill?
Well, so even if it's not great, even if the supplement, to make up the amount of data for a monthly usage anyway, $12 a month is far more affordable than what an entire cellular plan or an entire hotspot plan would be on its own through T-Mobile or even through your own cellular provider. Because I know for me to add a hotspot to my plan, because I looked at one for myself, it was going to cost me something like another $50 a month.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Get out of here. Like, not to mention I have to spend $200 for the hardware. Get out of here. No way. So
normally I would ask you if you had Sprint, but I don't think that's the case.
I have Verizon, actually.
Yeah. I think the other thing too is, like, of all the current nationwide ISP owners, who else is doing this?
No one.
Like, the fact that they're actually going out
there.
I
won't say that definitively. We haven't heard.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say
that's a fair.
Hey, all you other bitch ass motherfuckers.
Well, as far as we understand it, there's no one else doing a nationwide push to try and help underprivileged families get internet for children. Like, they're not publicizing it. They're not talking about it. So as far as we are aware, this is it. And the fact that it's T-Mobile, which for me is kind of funny, because I've always thought as T-Mobile's kind of trash phone, trash internet.
Well, T-Mobile's coverage is apparently okay, but they also merged with Sprint.
Yeah.
So when you mix poop with things, anything can happen.
You get paint. You paint the walls with, right?
You get different shades of poop smear paint.
Different shades of my background, apparently. No, actually, what I was kind of looking at anyway on that, and in this regard too, is there was a lot of pushback, in this merger anyway between T-Mobile and Sprint. And T-Mobile and Sprint really had to make a big argument, to the government, saying, no, this is not
monopolistic.
It's not that kind of behavior. So like they had to really make an argument, to make that work. So I think this could also just be a PR move on the other side of it. Like, look, this is the kind of good stuff we can do together. Like.
Kids, your word of the day is monopolistic.
Monopolistic.
Brought to you by T-Mobile.
And now you know.
No, I do agree though. Like, I mean, what a great way to kind of showcase to the government and others. Like, by the way, we promised we were okay. We're okay, I guess.
Well, and hopefully this inspires other companies to do more too, and say, you know what, we can cover the other 6 million kids because we cover this area really well, where T-Mobile's a little bit more spotty, or what have you. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what this comes up with in the future.
Yeah, I agree. No, I'm a big Metal fan. I like the CEO of T-Mobile. He has a really interesting Twitter.
He's eccentric.
He is very eccentric, where he talks about he's not Batman, but he tries to be, or something like that.
What?
And so seeing these kinds of things always does warm my cockles. Again, like, what better way of actively trying to be a better company and better the world than using your power for the benefit of others? Even if you benefit out of it, like, you're still benefiting others. Like, if anything, that's the capitalism we should strive for here in the U.S.
I agree. Yeah.
Moving on to our next topic, because you can let us know what you thought about T-Mobile in the comments floating directly above me like a crown, because I earned a crown at one point in time in Fall Guys.
So proud of you.
I'm
almost on 20.
Topic that we have this week: Nintendo had a surprise, very interesting Nintendo Direct around the fact that Mario is 35 years old, apparently. It's the 35th anniversary of the Super Mario Brothers. So for the 35th anniversary, they had a really quick but interesting Direct full of some really cool different drops, announcements is what I was trying to say. So I'll start from the top. The first thing they announced was a brand new novelty handheld, which is a brand new Game & Watch that will include all kinds of games on it, including Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, and a Mario-themed edition of the classic Game & Watch title, Ball. Now, while this is really cool, I was thinking this is going to be on the Switch, and then like, it's a brand new handheld that's $80. I was like, fuck you, Nintendo, I'll never buy that.
Why?
I don't know.
There goes another one for the library of video games.
Seriously. After that, they announced a new Mario Kart, which is probably one of the coolest pieces of tech Nintendo's done in a while, in which it is a Mario Kart physical kart with Mario in it and a camera on it. And you drive the kart around while connected to your Switch, and it displays the camera on your Switch screen so you can see as you drive, and you design your own tracks using this. So there are gateways that you put around your house, and then you would turn on the game on your Switch, and you would paint your racetrack to however you want it, and then you race. And you can race with friends. People can come over with their own Switches and their own karts, so you can go against it. There are enemies and hazards on screen, so they will appear on screen to mess with your field of view and stuff. Like, such a unique, weird way to use Mario Kart and AR gaming.
I wish it was around when we were kids, for sure.
Oh, 100%. Like, the 12-year-old inside me blew up. Had to really be careful about those words after that first sentence. But
the kid inside me blew my mind.
I was really, really blown away by how cool this was. And even though there's a bunch of other announcements, I think this is the most unique announcement, the most Nintendo announcement, and what a great thing to put out there right before Christmas. Yep.
I will say that I am very worried a little bit with kids going outside in like the driveways and playing with this car, and dad comes home in a hurry and just freaking takes it out. Like, I just see some
Kart.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying otherwise. I'm just saying the kid's going to be playing this game, and all of a sudden he's going to see dad's tire, and he's going to be super sad. But really cool.
Really cool. Big fan. Big Metal fan. They also announced they are bringing the Wii U game Super Mario 3D World over to the Switch. It'll also be coming with a brand new expansion of some sort called Bowser's Fury. So this will be coming on February 12th of next year. It'll all come in one package, and then they also announced Mario Cat Peach amiibos, because the cat suit's the big deal in that game. Your cat. Meow.
Meow.
My friends call me Whiskers because I'm like a cat. They announced one of the other cool little announcements that I think got completely overlooked in this conference, a Mario Battle Royale. So it's 35 players against one another, each playing levels of Mario, but as you kill enemies, those enemies transfer to the other player's screens. And you get to pick which one it goes to. So you get to decide who to add the enemies onto, so you can try and like tackle the person who's doing it just as well as you, or however you want. But it's playing in old school Mario levels.
Huh.
So really cool. That is dropping sometime here soon. I'm sorry.
It reminds me a little bit of Tetris 99.
Yes, very much so. Because that was a similar thing in Tetris 99. When you got rid of lines, you could put junk into other players' screens. But it's called Super Mario Brothers 35. I believe it's going to be free to play, but we really don't. Oh, it's only available for a limited time, and it's exclusive to Switch Online members. So make sure you have that. Kind of required. I have been meaning to check it out, so I'll check that out here shortly. They also announced that Super Mario All Stars is returning, which has Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels, Super Mario Brothers 2, and Super Mario Brothers 3. That will be on the Switch in a re-release through the Nintendo Online library. So that's available right now. Actually, you can go play that, which is actually a really cool package to have all the Mario Brother games. But the big kahuna, the big one, according to me,
the big cheese,
is definitely the long-rumored 3D Mario collection is indeed true. It is named Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This will include Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. All these games will have a higher resolution, optimized controls for the Switch. However, they are not remasters. These are re-releases. So they have up-resed the graphics. They've tweaked level 4 in Mario 60. I don't know. They've done very little, essentially. Most of this is coming in the same format that you would have it in the original consoles. And it appears to be a limited release. So you have to get the game sometime between September 18th when it releases or March 31st, and that's it. You don't get the game anymore, according to Nintendo.
Why?
So there's a lot of speculation that Nintendo is going to piecemeal sell the games after this. So after the 31st, you could buy each game individually. There's no confirmation, just speculation, just to be clear.
Makes sense, though.
The game is $60. And so there is some controversy on the internet. One, the game's not being remakes, just essentially re-releases with very little done to them. Two, the absence of Super Mario Galaxy 2. John, I think you and I are in the same boat where we have never played Sunshine and Galaxy. So Correct. For me, this is like the best thing that could have happened. I've been wanting to play Sunshine for a while now because people keep talking about it. And boom, now it's in a collection with 2 other games that I get to play. Okay.
GameCube, right?
Yes, GameCube.
Yeah, because my sister threw my GameCube against the wall and it stopped working, so I couldn't play it.
I was a PS2 boy, so I never got to play it. But apparently the water effects are incredible. However, the absence of Galaxy 2 has riled quite a few fans. And again, the fact that these games are not in any way re-release, remaster, any of that, it's just literally upscaling so that they don't look as blocky. No thoughts? No one?
It's one of those things where I'm interested, but again, I'm going to have nothing available to me. So I'm interested in Sunshine. I definitely want to see this because, like we said, we never got to play it. Like, if they sold it more individually, I think I would actually prefer that almost instead of spending $60 on all of them. But I do believe that they would probably end up selling it for $30 a piece individually afterwards. That makes sense to me. I don't know why they would bundle it first, though. That's the only thing that I don't understand.
So I think they did it, 1, because it's a very Nintendo thing to do. 2, you instantly push the people who are on the fence of like possibly waiting to want to buy it before it goes out. Because I guarantee you physical copies for this game are going to go like that. So I've debated about pre-ordering the physical copy myself. But on the Switch, I kind of prefer digital, so I'm kind of on the fence on that.
We like having our shelf space. Our little shelf tokens.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I heard dump space, and I was like, that's not right. That can't be what he's talking about. But the third thing is, I think they're going to push the consumer by the end of this time period, right? Like by the time you reach March 25th, the people who have thought about it, maybe, all of a sudden it's like, well, if you don't get it, it's gone forever. Instantly pushes people over. And some fans are probably excited about the fact that it's limited. They get to put it on their shelf and it's theirs for a long time. Is it arbitrary? Yes, 100%. Yeah. This is Nintendo being Nintendo, where they're like, we're going to release something really cool and then make you think that it's worth more than it actually is. Haha.
I just think it's hilarious that every time that there's another announcement made of any kind to any amplitude by any company, they're like, oh, here, by the way. Oh, did you say something? Yeah. Look what we got. And it's like they're always trying to say, we're going to keep you in mind when you're looking at something else. And it's...
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting here thinking, maybe I'll get Tony Hawk
this month. Do they think
month.
This is going to be a console seller too? If they wrap this up, they're like, well, maybe are they going to bundle this possibly, you think?
For this fall, yeah, I could imagine it would be a great bundle on Switch. I mean, you literally could put this game with a set of Mario Joy-Cons that are just in the color of Mario, and you sell gangbusters, hands down. And I think they would do that over Switch because they're having trouble with their manufacturer right now getting Switch into people's hands. So,
well, yeah, I mean, a bunch of people bought up a bunch of Switches to try to jack up the prices. So,
well, also we're in a quarantine, so people are like, oh, I can game. I do have time to play on my Switch. It doesn't matter if I have to take it or not. And they were like, oh, well, I ran out. A good friend of ours, John Fitz, has been trying to find a Switch for some time, is struggling to find one. Yeah. Oh, man. I've been trying to help him out the best as I can, but
just said something. I'm going to try to find one too.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. I think to sum up our own feelings on it, one, what a weird way to announce all this. They did not do any sort of announcement beforehand that this was dropping. And this is like 16 minutes on YouTube, which is not huge, but it's large enough with your largest mascot for a gaming company. They're just like, by the way, here it is. And they just farted it out. And everyone was like, wait, what? Like, I literally woke up. It was on Twitter and people were like, Super Mario Sunshine. And I was like, what happened? Like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. What could have possibly happened?
That was
Nintendo dropped it direct. Got it.
That was the message you put in Discord too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's 10 a.m. It's too early for this shit or something like that.
Yeah. Just like, come on, Nintendo, get over
Check us out on the Strange Gaming Discord link below.
Somewhere. It might be above me on my crown. But overall, I'm still excited about Mario 35. It sounds like a lot of fun. The Mario Kart thing looks dope as hell. And I am super excited to play, if anything, Super Mario 64 again in a format that's super comfortable for me. But also trying out Sunshine and Galaxy. So
I enjoyed 64. I played that a lot on my N64. And I can't wait to reintroduce myself into that world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, but let us know what your thoughts are on Mario's 35th anniversary, whatever you call it. Nintendo's part of a video. Drop. There we go. I like that too. In the comments floating right on top of John's hat. He's got the Assassin's Creed logo. The comments are blocking it because they don't want Assassin's Creed to take the sunshine from Mario. Anyways, moving on to our final topic of the show. That was a complete accident, by the way. My brain is just broken. We're going to discuss some really cool, interesting, possibly tantalizing news from Microsoft themselves. John, take us away.
Just randomly last night, or like just hanging out on the internet at like 12 in the morning, it's just popped up. Xbox Series S specs have been revealed for 1440p at 120 frames per second, and it's going to be released on November 10th. It is 60%. No, I'm sorry. It is 60% smaller than what the Series X is going to be. It's going to be all digital, DirectX ray tracing, which I'm assuming is just their ray tracing software. I'm not entirely sure.
It's ray tracing technology.
There you go. Variable rate shading, variable refresh rate, ultra low latency, but the kicker at 512 gigabyte SSD.
Yeah.
But don't worry, you'll get your 4K streaming media playback and upscaling for games for 4K.
Well, I should say the kicker in the other direction is the price, though.
$300 is, I think, reasonable.
I think that's very reasonable for what this is. I mean,
so again, like me and Britt had talked about, what was it? Why did they stop the Gen X and go to the Series S? And we were looking at the specs, and it's pretty much all the same outside of a couple of things, and then they give you less memory.
Wait, so didn't we have a conversation about this like 4 or 5 episodes back where, we all said, if they come out with or Brent specifically said, if they come out with a Series S, I'm going to lose my shit. The One S, the One X.
100%. That is absolutely the case. So I can tell you 2 things. One, John, I have thought long and hard about this.
Yeah. Nice.
There are 2 reasons why: DirectX ray tracing and SSD, which is not what the One X came with, right? The One X came with a 1 terabyte regular hard disk drive, and did not have the DirectX ray tracing. Now, I still stand by that statement. It does not make any sense to me. You have the world's most powerful gaming console, and I put that in quotes because it's no longer that, but they like harped on it for literal years. For years, they were like, guess what? We have the best gaming console. It's the most powerful thing in the world. It lasted a year and a half, and now we've discontinued it for this.
It's the computing space.
This is the problem that I have, though. Like, yeah, I get it that it's a solid state. That's great. I think that's where we need to go. But these games, like Call of Duty, are now 200 gigs. You're telling me that you're going to put, 3 games on here? Oh, so I'm going to be able to go back and forth between these 2 or 3 games that I can only keep on here. This is great.
So that's kind of the kicker, though. That's what the people who are going to buy this are the individuals who will only buy 2 or 3 games. And when the new one comes out, they'll delete the old one and they'll just replace it with the new one.
Yeah, that's fine. But again, it just limits you. And 2, I wonder if they're going to have the same memory upgrade that they're going to have that they talked about with the Series X. Because if they do, that would make about the storage upgrade,
or yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Having the custom SSD, I think it would make sense for them to do that. The problem is, I think at this point they've probably already locked in the manufacturing for it. I mean, they're probably in the beginning phases of manufacturing if they haven't already begun that. Try to develop an entire backlog of people backlog for people who are going to pre-order these devices. So,
I mean, we're in September. It's supposed to come out in 2 months.
Well, but that's the thing is, if the One X or if the Series X, if they wanted to drop a custom SSD in that, they can't. Like, the designs for this are already finished, which is why you come out with the Series S, a brand new device. It's cheaper. It comes out. It has a RAID based, NVMe solid state drive that makes it, twice as fast as whatever else, the same speeds that, the PlayStation.
Well, they had their own hard drive increase or their own memory space increase that was proprietary. That it's specific to work with their proprietary SSD.
Yeah, it's like a proprietary memory stick, essentially.
You mean like,
but
mean like the old ones we had with 360?
Yeah, but this is supposed to be like this big and equal like a terabyte or something along those lines. They didn't specify the actual size of the memory, but they were stating the whole point is that you could upgrade.
You're talking about the thing that slots in the rear end, the back end 100%. Of the. Okay, that. Yeah. No. What are you guys talking about? Upgrading that? Or are you talking about upgrading or adding a custom SSD to the Series X? Then
it already has a custom SSD.
Series X does not.
No?
Series X has it has an SSD. It doesn't have it, as far as we know. It's a custom SSD in the sense that Microsoft is doing their own little thing with it, but we're not quite sure what that infrastructure looks like. It's nothing, as far as we know from the communication of people in the industry, as well as what Microsoft has told, it doesn't have anything truly unique to it. It's just an SSD that Microsoft has added like their own code base to in order to utilize it, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
It's that's just as far as we understand it. It very well could be a custom SSD on the same vein as what Sony is touting with PS5, but most devs, when they talk about how these SSDs are being utilized, they're talking about PS5. They are not at all talking about Series X, even a little bit.
Well, no.
Well, that's why I wonder why they say custom SSD for the Series S specifically.
So I think that's the distinction here. Is PlayStation came out with this thing where they're talking about. So PlayStation's custom SSD is a soldered quad RAID NVMe SSD based on performance metrics that I've seen from it. In comparison, specifically, there's a Linus Tech Tips video where he beats the read and write performance of a PlayStation 5 or the numbers for the sheet numbers for a PlayStation 5 SSD. And you can do that with PC currently. You just have to spend a ton of money to get there, you know. The difference is they're doing an integrated version. So the Xbox Series X uses a standard NVMe-based solid-state drive. Cool. That's honestly nothing new. That tech's been around for a little bit now, which is good. You know, like it needed to get integrated. But if they're talking about a custom SSD for this, they may be talking about the same type of technology that PlayStation's using here. Now, granted, they didn't tout read and write performance numbers like PlayStation did because it was supposed to be hugely groundbreaking. But I think they're trying to put this in the same vein. It was the idea. Was that is that the 512 is supposed to be that sort of performance benefit of having like a pre-rated disk on the motherboard ahead of time. You know? Granted, it's only 512 instead of the 825 or whatever PlayStation 5 was doing. But it still gives, you know, some it still puts interesting marketing numbers out there. You know,
I think it's smart of them to do that in an all digital model too.
Yeah. So I was just looking at the Wikipedia page specifically. The internal storage for the Series X is a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD, which is 2.4 gigabytes per second raw, 4.8 gigabytes per second compressed. That's fine. You know, that's pretty standard. You know, that's not a huge deal for a decent performance NVMe SSD. The problem is they didn't list bandwidth numbers for the Series S. So I'm interested to see if they're trying to use this as a marketing ploy to compete with PlayStation, or if they're actually trying to compete with PlayStation on this one.
See, and this is where I think Xbox is such an interesting company, right? Or subsidiary of Microsoft, right? Is the fact that they're touting they want to make play for everyone. This definitely helps that, right? Because it's not just the fact that it's $300. You can actually bundle this into a financing deal through Microsoft where you spend $25 a month. It pays for the console and for Game Pass or Game with Gold Ultimate or Game Pass Ultimate. So you would get your Game Pass and your payment for the console, and you pay that over the course of 2 years. And so that equates to the actual cost for Game Pass and the console over 2 years. So they're not ripping you off. You're not paying more money. It is making it easier for the average consumer who doesn't want to drop $300 on something, or arguably $360 because you're paying for Game Pass with it. And at the same time,
your other options layaway, and you can't play it while it's on layaway.
Yeah. Or financing where you're paying interest like out the ass.
Well, yeah. So looking at this too, looking at the spec sheet too, that now this is from Wikipedia anyway. Apparently, though, there's a lot of distinguishments here anyway, as far as the degradation of the Series S or the downgrading of the Series S to meet this price point and justify it.
Okay.
So the GPU has actually been downscaled quite a bit.
Okay.
So
I'm glad you found this because this is what I wanted to know.
Yeah. So the CPUs are exactly the same. Both of them are custom Zen 2 AMD based architectures, 8 cores at 3.8 gigahertz. The GPU, both of them are RDNA 2 versions, like the modern ray tracing capable AMD graphics cards.
I'm gonna interrupt you real quickly because I think Microsoft fucked up by not going Dell. AMD, come on.
We went over this last week. It's not a Dell.
Dude, you're getting a Dell. It's my dumb joke.
So the GPU is actually a pretty significant downgrade on the Series S versus the Series X. The Series S is touting 52 compute units at 1.825 gigahertz versus 20 compute units, less than half. At 1.55 gigahertz, which is a difference of 12 teraflops versus 4 teraflops, literally a third of the performance here.
So it's a Gen X.
Yeah, I mean, it's close to the Xbox One. You have to stop saying Gen X because Gen X isn't a thing.
So what this does anyway is the Series X was touting 4K resolution at 60 frames, or you can do like 1080 up to 120 frames, whatever, you know. The difference here is that the Series S is targeting 1440p at 60 frames, or up to 120 frames per second, which is, to be fair, a much more reasonable number. A lot of people have 4K televisions now, and that's fine. But 1440p and 1080p are still very common numbers to find. I mean, Steam just released their hardware analysis. So Steam every year does a hardware analysis amongst all of its customers. You know, not to, you know, they're secretly or not so secretly, you know, like recording what all of our hardware is if you install Steam on your desktop. But that's beside the point.
Interesting.
So they put out a notice, or put out the information anyway, and I think it was like 68% of people who play games are playing at 1080p. 1920 by 1080, standard 16 by 9 resolution anyway, which makes sense. You know, like 16 by 9, 1080p has been sort of the industry standard for a long time now. So 1440p at 60 frames and upwards of 120 frames, if you're talking like 100 frames at 1080, I think that's pretty reasonable to expect.
You also have to take into account that we're talking about console owners, so it's not monitors most of the time, it's television. And if you're looking at the actual household, the average household in the United States that has 4K is only 33% of the population. Everyone else has less than that. So 1440, I think, is absolutely fantastic. And the upscaling, which is a nice, you know, computational trick, works just fine. They're not going to lose out early on in this generation cycle with that.
So you get better fidelity on your 1080p, or it looks better on your 1080p to the eye than it would look necessarily on a 4K, depending on your
the funny part is that a lot of people don't even realize they're not getting their full boost out of their equipment, even if they have a 4K television and a 4K device, because they don't have the hardwire to support it.
So the next stat that sort of leads into, I guess, the rest of the explanation of, you know, 1440 versus 4K here is 10 gigabytes of GDDR6 video memory memory versus 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory on the S versus X respectively. So 10 versus 16, generally that gives you room for high-res textures. I'm sorry, 16 versus 10 gives you room for higher res textures, able to handle the 4K versus 1440p, you know, textures. Yeah, we'll see. But the other thing I didn't seem to notice, I guess, at first until I saw this side by side, is Microsoft did tout the 1 terabyte NVMe SSD on the Series X as a custom NVMe SSD specifically. So they've listed it as a custom NVMe SSD on both sides. So realistically, I can't imagine that the bandwidth performance is going to be any better on the 512. Now looking at this, you know, like I had a different opinion at first, but it looks like they're probably going to be about the same. 2.4 gigabytes raw read and write versus 4.8 gigabytes compressed.
I just want to point out, I'm staring at the Xbox One X wiki. We were talking about teraflops on the Series S. It is definitely still higher than the One X, because the One X, it rounds out at about 6 teraflops.
So that also puts the Series S in sort of an interesting place too. If you're talking 6 teraflops, well, the Series S is rated at 4.
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to be pushing higher fidelity games. Now, to be fair, RDNA 2 changes a lot of this, because ray tracing and AI performance and all that stuff definitely changes the landscape of the way that graphics performance is run. You know, the RTX 2000 series definitely changed the way that graphics computation happened. And the 3000 series and the RDNA 2 series from AMD are both going to further that, you know, continuation. But
but also with the solid state drive, that's also going to help increase everything to where it's, you know, you don't have as much lag with computation.
Well, so it will to some extent. So 2.4 gigabytes a second is tremendous for raw performance. Now, most games are probably going to run compressed because, you know, having dedicated ways to decompress game data from the hard drive directly in a much faster fashion, and being able to store it in a much smaller format and be able to double your throughput essentially if you have an uncompression or decompression chip that can handle it. That makes tons of sense. You know, I mean, you can shove literally twice the amount of data that you would through a standard NVMe SSD, which is already light years ahead of whatever, you know, a SATA-based SSD would be. So you really improve that performance quite a bit there. Now, PlayStation's really doing some neat trickery on their end to make this work out, but It's really just RAID. That's all it is. It's just a hardware based RAID, but it's still bringing a lot of really good tech into one place to make that work.
So do you think that the $300 price point is worth it compared to the $500 price point on the Series X? Based on the stats?
So the only way that I see this mattering to anybody is, one, having the Blu-ray drive. That's an easy pick. Second is whether 4K matters to you. If 4K doesn't matter, if you have 1080p displays or you have 1440p displays, buy a Series S. Save the money, spend it on something else. Spend it on games. You can buy more games.
Well, especially this early on, again, right? Like, if there's a time period where you end up upgrading, like, cool, I saved for 2 years and I bought a 4K TV. Now I'm ready to move on. Guess what? Guaranteed the Series X is going to be cheaper. It's going to be available for you. And there you go. You're golden.
Yep.
You spent $600 on 2 consoles over the course of it. Not the end of the world.
Yeah, not terrible at all. The only thing I do notice here, and it looks like these are bridged between both consoles, but I didn't see this anywhere else, is that the 1 terabyte expansion card is available on both the X and the S.
Oh, nice. Okay.
As well as the USB 3.2 external hard drive support.
Yes.
So all of that is available apparently on both of them. Now, I don't see where on the Series S, based on the pictures and videos that I saw, that an expansion slot is available for a hard drive.
That was why I had a question about that.
Well, I mean, I think you open the door like you would on a washer, and then you just stick the slot in there. It looks like a washer, folks. If you look at it, it looks like a fucking clothes washer, okay?
Well, I think more of like a boombox, personally.
It does look like a boombox as well.
I would say I think of a weird evolution of an Alexa device.
Somebody on Twitter posted some Sony Vaio speakers that are white, and it looks exactly like the Series X.
Can I show you guys this screenshot real quick? What is this?
Yeah. So that was a concept that somebody put out. They were thinking that it would be like half the size and all that, which technically they're not wrong. Microsoft just went the other way. Instead of making it like a cube, they made it into a thin rectangle.
Okay, all right.
A smaller version of the X.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Series X. Then we have...
It's really easy to find, folks. All you have to do is Google Series X, and you'll find the cube compared to the boombox. We'll call it the boombox for
call it the smart speaker. Because that's what we were joking about on the Strange.
So it's gonna suck in and then up. So it's gonna I don't know.
So is that actually a port for a fan?
It would have to be.
I would imagine it would be.
It wouldn't have to be. They could literally put it there for aesthetic reasons.
What the hell would Why would the hell would they do that?
Because they are not good designers. We have seen a majority of their consoles be terribly looking.
No. I think they had to do that as an afterthought. That to me looks like an afterthought rigging. Like, all right, it keeps heating up. What are we supposed to do? They're like, put a vent in the side of it and make it fucking work.
But there are more elegant ways to put a vent inside of things. You could just cut like pill-shaped holes in the thing all the way down, or just perforate the side of the damn thing instead of putting a giant
with a metal grate.
No. Without putting a giant gray circle in the middle of it, you could just and just put holes in it. Like
there's no way that was actually intended to be that way. I think that was a total afterthought.
Yeah,
because they were running into issues and they had to figure out how to ventilate it.
I stand by the fact that it's probably aesthetic and it's not a fucking fan, and somebody at Xbox was like, this will look really cool, people will like it, and then the fucking first memes dropped, they're like, fuck.
Well, the memes are always going to be there. It doesn't matter if you're a PlayStation or an Xbox or a blow-up doll. There's going to be something.
All I'm saying is that if you look at Sony's memes, they're all about the PlayStation 5 being a skyscraper. What is Xbox? Appliances.
Oh my god!
Who won the console war for real?
Well, not that, but like all the ones that they try to make them into girls. One's like the tank, and the other one's like this slender, like futuristic-looking girl. And it's like, oh man, you guys are mean.
For you folks at home, Mark keeps a tally of all of our cuss words, and I love watching my counter go up. I am currently the highest by nearly double.
So
I have cussed more in this one than I have probably in the last like 5.
So. I also find it funny that the Ars Technica article, that there's we're talking about the Xbox Series S, says other than the big circle dash vent thing, what else do you call this? Like, they don't talk about what it is or anything yet.
In the trailer that is available in the IGN article listed below, I think it shows it being a fan.
I don't think so, man. I've watched that trailer 3 times today. I don't remember that.
I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right now.
You look at it, man.
Everybody take a break.
So they don't. The part of it is that they don't do the same dissection of the console, which is actually also weird that they like cropped in like all the videos of the games that they were playing into the circle. Like, why? Like, why would you make an edit like that? I don't get it. But anyway, they don't dissect the hardware like they did for the Series X. So whenever they did the premiere for the Series X, they explained, okay, there's a fan at the top. Here's your hardware for, you know, your motherboard and your processor and your graphics and this, that, or the other that are all lined up. And this is what the inside of the chassis looks like.
I think it's because you can lay the console down on flat, and that's for it to be able to get rid of heat that way instead of pulling it out the side.
Well, yeah. So the way that the Series X ventilates is it intakes from the bottom and then spits out the top, and that's the way that's the whole point of the cooling performance. And the idea is that all of your radiator fins are at the top, and heat pipes just travel down to your at a minimum your CPU and your GPU, maybe your memory or your VRMs for, you know, the motherboard or something like that to try to cool down the rest of the board, but it's weird to me that they didn't showcase that. Now, if that is a giant cooling fan that goes in the side there, that entire half of it is just the cooling performance of the entire console. The idea is that solid white section on the other side is just the hardware, which is actually kind of a cool sentiment too, anyway, that they're so dedicated to cooling on that the fan is that big and the only other exhaust are those holes on the one end. So all of your heat starts at one end, moves out to the radiator on the other side, and the cooling performance is just supposed to handle it, which is similar to what the RTX 3000 series cards look like, where...
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's one fan that blows over top of, you know, the hardware stuff, but the other fan, the pass-through fan, is just solely responsible for just radiator fins that take heat from one end and transfer it to the other. Which
I stand by the fact that it's a subwoofer.
I'm like, there better not be music or anything coming out of that, because I'm telling you, people are gonna get pissed.
Brent, I just had an image of like some of the old 2000s Too Fast, Too Furious fiberglass like sub boxes that you'd put in the back of SUVs and cars and trunks, just filled with Xbox Series S's. And a car just closes the lid and bumps down the road as it shatters windows and everything.
We will leave it to you to make and put it in for the marker for our or the pen for our.
Oh my gosh!
Pocket. But so, I love how I start this video and the first thing I get is, "Hey, PlayStation!" Like,
yeah, ads on Twitter. Mark, I have put a message in our little board that our chat here, and it's a meme that Xbox put themselves when this trailer was leaking and all the information was leaking, and you have to put it up on screen during this episode. So mark the thing. I don't care how you do it. Scroll down, scroll. It's almost there. There it is. That's the meme no, you passed it. That's the meme they posted. It's all the information was leaking online. So you have to put that above so everyone else knows when they watch the episode, because goddamn, it's so good.
Oh my!
But please let us know what you think about the Series X. Boys, do you have anything else to contribute?
No,
I'm good.
Other than I will say that I still don't think this is a bad buy for you. If you are I play 1, maybe 2 games a year player, or I play the same game, and you're not all about the 4K TV graphics, 100% you should go with the Series S if you're an Xbox fan.
Well, and I also would say if you're looking for the next generation, you are on a budget. Game Pass is the best gaming for dollar you can put out there, and $300 to enjoy Game Pass on a next gen console, totally worth it. So,
I mean, you're enjoying PlayStation now, aren't you?
I am loving PlayStation Now, but PlayStation Now is not Game Pass, and I am not delusional enough to confuse the two. I enjoy PlayStation Now for its obscurity, right? I keep finding these very odd, weird games that I've like, oh, I will play that because I'm a weirdo. But I also know that the average individual will not go into PlayStation Now and go, let me play 1111 Memories Retold.
Well, I will say Game Pass is absolutely a really good deal.
It is 100%. Please let us know what your comments are in the comments floating right in front of Mark because he's drinking. It was on his glass. It's gone now. Now that his glass is left. There's the comments again. You can see it, man. They're gone again. But now I think it's time for last call.
Last call!
I always pick my glass up for that. I don't know why. It's just always like,
stop.
It's last call. I feel like I should cheers. I also poured a little.
It's not a celebratory event. You want to keep drinking, damn it.
You're right. I'm sad. We don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Of course, we are still in our quarantine bunkers, separated because of COVID-19. Not that we ever see each other outside of that, because we're separated. I am enjoying some lovely Jameson Stout Edition. Ooh. I had just finished a beautiful vodka tonic and moved on to this. I highly recommend it. It's got a nice slight bite compared to regular Jameson and Black Barrel that I thoroughly enjoy.
Or the IPA edition too.
I have not tried the IPA edition because I don't like IPAs.
Not bad. It's not bad. I recommend it.
Well, one day, Mark, when you come over, I'll buy a bottle and we will share it.
I'll bring one for you then.
That works. We can make Gloria drive you home.
This week, I'm actually going for some Crown Royal Peach.
Peach? Really? How is it?
They make a peach?
It is fantastic. It is definitely an easy straight drink. It is a very dangerous drink at times, but it's a very good drink. So it's the recommendation they actually make is to mix it with just plain old tea or sweet tea. Okay. I haven't tried that yet. Just we don't generally have sweet tea around the house here, but I might have to make some anyway to try this out. But very good straight drink. I normally do most of my whiskeys on the rocks and recommend that right along with it.
When that Apple Crown first came out, that was
Apple Washington apples all fucking day long.
I really enjoyed the maple too.
Yes, I actually just bought some Woodford Reserve maple to take with me to the mountains. Cannot wait. Quick question. Is it sweet?
Yes, it is.
My recommendation would be rather than pairing it with sweet tea, do unsweet tea.
Well, yeah. That was the other idea. So I don't know. I'd have to try one then the other, depending on it. Depends on how much of a sweet tooth you have, I guess.
That way it'll be a healthy drink.
Yeah. Alcohol's totally good for you. It disinfects your insides. That's why I'm killing COVID all the time.
Exactly. It's just as good as injecting yourself with disinfectant.
No one needs mouthwash. You need liquor.
What are you drinking?
I've got a Foursquare 2008. Let's see if I can get a good picture. There we go. It's a sipping rum. It's actually exceptionally good. It was put in a bourbon cask. And I think it was, for 12 years.
Wow.
And it is stout.
Yeah, I'm going to step in here.
That baby.
Because John brought it over to our house, and I was like, cool, and I'm really excited to try this. Tried one sip, and I was like, that's scotch. That's not rum. That is scotch. You lied to me. It is very stout. Of course, if you are enjoying a drink while you're watching us, please let us know in the comments below. I would love to understand if anyone is enjoying a drink while we are drinking ourselves. It is 8:00 at night here, so we're allowed to. If it's early in the morning, you can still let us know. We won't shame you. I'm just curious.
Not to say we haven't done it before ourselves, so.
I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so we'll see. Of course, we do have our Discord, which you can join in. We were discussing how all of us were talking about the Series S. We also get together to play games. Last weekend, we had actually a nice little tournament where a bunch of people got together and played. We are continuing that trend, so please join our Discord.
It's coming
we
Friday.
love conversation. We love playing.
By the time you guys are watching this, actually, it'll be this
Just jump in the Discord. Don't Mark. Clip this, put it at the very beginning, join the Discord first. We love playing with each other. Kiba Lone Wolf himself said it. Of course, we do have a weekly reading this week. This weekly reading cracked me up. Delivery drivers are beating Amazon at their own game. So the delivery drivers who are hanging smartphones from trees to beat Amazon's system for determining where their drivers are for packages at specific times and who to reroute to send these packages out. So they're basically coming together, hanging their phones from the same tree, so that they are like one cluster. They're like, okay, we won't give them to you, we'll give them to somebody else, and they're still getting paid their normal wage. And you know what? Fuck the police. I like it. Keep it going. It's an interesting article. I highly recommend reading it.
Wow.
For our weekly deals, there's a Humble Sound Designer bundle, which is actually quite good. This bundle includes a plethora of technology and sound packages for you to utilize, including Funky Boom Bap, Turntable Scratch, Club Step. I'm not going to go through all these, but if you pay $1, you get 5 sound packs. If you pay $21.63, which is the average, you get an additional 7 sound packs. And if you pay $25, you get an additional 4, 9, 10 sound packs. $30 gets you, holy cow. If you pay $30, you are easily netting 30 different sound packs for whatever you want to do in your life. This includes video games, music, video editing. This is all yours to own and utilize however you want. So please check it out. Humble, of course, does donate a portion of those proceeds out to various charities. The charities they are looking at right now are Little Kids Rock HFC and Youth Music UK. But if you don't like those charities, you can pick your own. So please check them out. Well worth your money and time. For some cool ass shit, throw it on the timer there, Mark. Look at, or the counter, not timer. The FBI is investigating claims of a jetpack man in LA. This is not a joke. This is
multiple
real.
Pilots.
Multiple jetpack men at the airport in LA. Everyone, Tony Stark's out there. He's going to save us all from 2020.
Just to put how dangerous this is, they were estimated to be 300 feet from a landing aircraft. I'm going to tell you, that is not a good idea for someone in a jetpack.
Okay, I've got to find the actual radio calls and listen to them, but the quote from a pilot is, Tower, American 1997, we just passed a guy in a jetpack.
He goes, are you sure? Yes.
I can imagine the air traffic controller on the other side going, what the fuck did you just say?
Well, the funny thing is, he didn't even stutter. He's like, okay, put it on the record. I was like,
that's all you can do. Like that's all you really can do as a controller. But yeah, that's really interesting.
All you see is a Rocketeer flying by.
I know. No, I still believe in
Rocket
Tony
Man.
Stark. It's Tony. What if it's Robert Downey Jr. who has his own jetpack just flying around LA?
I can see that happening.
I can only hope it's William Shatner living up to his dream of being Rocket Man.
And he's like, as he's flying, he's just constantly singing his rendition of Rocket Man. That's absolutely awful. Rocket Man, burning greatly in that long dark night. Anyways, that's a really dumb joke, only for old people. Time to move on to our question of the week, which is, what is one of your favorite toys growing up?
Mine was absolutely Transformers and Power Rangers.
Okay.
I used to play. The reason I bring both of them up is I used to play with them together a lot. And I had the Megazord. I had all of, like, the original Megazord. Like, I wish I still had it to this day because that thing would be worth so much money. It would be, man. But I remember playing with that so often. And I had the Power Ranger that had the head that flipped between the, normal human face to the Power Ranger mask. And me and my sister each had one. And it was always a good time. I enjoyed those.
So I've got 3, and I'll be really quick about them.
I've got 3 as well. They're all related.
So I taped them to a remote-controlled Jeep, and they didn't come back.
Threw them off a cliff. It's because your dad came in the driveway and you weren't paying attention. It's a callback to our Mario Kart
fears come from somewhere.
So as a young lad, I had a Curious George stuffed animal that I used to carry around with me forever. And I got it from my dad. I think it actually came from my grandma, but my dad's the one who gave it to me, so I always associate it with my father. And it was like my little buddy that I would not let go of for years. I'm sad I don't have this anymore. But my next toy I do have, as a matter of fact, my mother just gave me a bunch of my old stuff from a young kid. And I had this old wooden dragon. And what it was is a wooden dragon on wheels that when you rolled it, parts of it moved. And so the head had these 2 horns that pointed backwards. And so one of them over here got broken off because I was a kid boy rough breaking toys and shit. And so it's still broken to this day, but I have that wooden drag. I'll bring it on the show next time. I'll put it like behind me or something. Because it is like one of the coolest things I remember growing up as a kid having. And it is like the quintessential crystallized memory of my childhood is that dragon for sure. And then outside of that is one more, which is a T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And the reason I remember this T-Rex is because I, as a kid at 4 years old, and please government don't come in and get involved in this, but my father used to pay my brothers and I $10 a day to clean the parking lot of his restaurant. And it wasn't because we were good at it. It was because he was trying to instill in us the idea that you work for your money. I'm not going to give you money.
Those were your chores.
Yeah. As an adult, I understand. He gave me money.
Like the more chores they were doing, the less trouble they were making as well. There was also definitely multifaceted here.
And so he would pay us, and I love my dad because he's a schemer. He paid us in $10 in quarters. And in his restaurant, he had 5 arcade machines.
He knew the cycle.
And so my brothers, Adam and Brandon, would spend their quarters playing House of the Living Dead, Cruising USA, Golden Tee. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, pinball, all these games. And so I would take $1 a day. I'd spend $1 on like a game, and then I'd just keep the rest, and I saved up my money. And so one day we went over to Target, and he was like, hey, you got money, right? You want to go buy a toy? And I bought the big $35 Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park. I was so happy about it. I had saved up all this money so I could buy this thing. It was one of my favorite toys as a kid. So okay. I distinctly
remember. Is it the one that you could take the chunk out of the side of it?
Yes.
Yes, I had the same thing.
I loved it.
Okay. So, I guess I have 3 tiers for this, from age differences. So the youngest, my earliest thing anyway, and I don't know who made it, where my parents got it, anything like that, but I had it since I was 2. Is a small wooden scooter type thing with a seat on it.
Okay.
So you could sit on it, and you could move this little handle up front and move it around, and it worked well with these plastic balls that would go inside the spokes of these drum shaped wheels, whatever, with little what you would call them, cylinders that would kind of go between the edges of the wheels, and it would just make noise, and as a kid that always entertained the hell out of me. But that just carried on until I was even older, and would just sort of ride that thing around the house or wherever, in different places across the house.
He still does to this day.
Exactly. Well, but I still have it. It's at my mom's place. She still keeps it with her, that kind of thing. It's one of those childhood memory toy things. And the idea is at some point I'm going to have kids and I can fix it because the steering thing broke. The little dowel that went in there that connected the steering broke. But I can easily fix something like that, put something new in there and repair it, put it back to former glory. The second one for me was Hot Wheels.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I had a massive collection of Hot Wheels. Up until 4th grade or 5th grade, one or the other. So in 4th and 5th grade, my teacher for both of those years would have us do a mini city thing, or a shop thing, where you would actually learn economics by, you get a certain amount of money up front, you bid for a location, a store location, based on whatever the price of those store locations were, based on how close it was to the door. But then you'd build up your store and sell products near the door. And the idea is that other classes would come in, and each student was handed a certain amount of money to be able to buy your products. And then you would work with them to haggle, and it was a really cool thing to learn at 9 and 10. So it was a really interesting project. So I ended up selling my entire collection of Hot Wheels by about that point. So I don't have any more of them, which I wish I did, but it was always fun to set up tracks and set up weird loops and ramps and have the powered, accelerators and run jumps across a room. And my sister and I really enjoyed, seeing how far we could launch a car across a room. My mom was a little less thrilled, but that was always fun. My third one's kind of a twofold thing of as I got a little bit older. It started with Zip Zaps. If you ever heard of those if you guys remember those from Radio Shack. So Zip Zaps.
Zip Zap? No, I don't know Zip Zap.
So just do a quick Google search for Zip Zaps.
Okay, yeah.
So Zip Zaps were, if I even find them. Oh my gosh.
Zip Zap Pest Control.
Oh, that's not it. Okay, so Zip Zaps, one word.
Okay.
So this was about the time that Too Fast, Too Furious came out.
That's incredible.
So
there's a Wikipedia page. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
They are these little tiny, like micro RC cars. You get a controller, you can connect the car on top of it, and it charges based on or charges from the controller. Great design, awesome for little kids anyway. And my friends and I used to put them out back all the time and race them, like across the concrete of like the basketball pad or the Foursquare pad. I found an interesting bit of I can buy a modified motor on eBay. I bought one and I blew a lot of my friends away.
That's funny.
Which worked great until I decided I'm gonna bet somebody my car on this one. I'm gonna race for pinks. That's what this is. I'm gonna race for pinks. And then the motor started to fuck up in the middle of the race. And I lost.
No.
It was not a good time. So that actually ended up evolving into X mods from there, which was sort of the next big car evolution of, like better radio technology, much bigger control interface, all kinds of adaptations you can make. Like, for example, I bought a Nissan Skyline, which was normally rear-wheel drive for the remote version, but you could get an all-wheel drive adapter kit for it, which, of course, I bought. Was great. And you could build out tracks for them. There was a whole community of people who'd race them. I didn't make it tremendously far in those, but that was definitely the follow-up to Zip Zaps, and I enjoyed Zip Zaps a lot growing up.
Yeah, I remember the controller for my remote control car was like this big freaking honk. Not granted, I'm also smaller, so I'm like turning this giant knob thing to try to learn how to like go and turn and not crash into things. That's why my action figures never came back.
I guess a different avenue that my dad always had a Tyco RC car. Those things, I mean, they would haul. Those things would do like 20, 25 over the ground, like on a battery, and it was something else sometimes. And I enjoyed that. I think I had that car up until about 3 years ago.
I just love this idea of little dispatcher going like, let's race for pinks.
Yes,
I got this. I got this. And your car loses, and you're like, no, this doesn't count. This is not on the actual official track. Okay.
Can I sign anything?
Judges?
I didn't sign anything.
Thank you. Please let us know what your favorite toys were growing up in the comments, floating right above Mark in the dust that his Zip Zap left behind him. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers!